Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dave from Bliss Fabrication here. Today we're in the workshop and we're going to be doing a little tech video for you. We're going to be showing you how to maintain your rapid pedal drive that you might find on a FeelFree, Seastream, or Three Waters kayak. Stay tuned, we're going to get to it. All right, so first thing we've got here is your whole pedal drive assembly, right? There's a bunch of nuts and bolts all over this thing, some of which you need to pay attention to, some of which are just there and you don't really need to pay attention. But I'd assume at this point you've already set up your kayak, you've put your pedals and your cranks on, you've been out on the water a couple times, and maybe you started to hear a noise, or you were having an issue with it. So the first thing that we are going to do is you're going to want to grease this thing probably once a year, I would say. And what you should use is white lithium grease from Permatex. They make it, or it doesn't have to be that brand, but that's what I use, and you can find it at like an auto parts store or something like that. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to have two screws on here. So let me pull this a little closer. You've got one screw right here. That's going to be your upper grease point. And then you've got one down here. This is your lower grease point. So I believe you're going to use a 4mm Allen, right? That's going to go on here. It's going to fit both screws. Yep. And so what you're going to want to do is just pop those screws off. And you can use that white lithium grease on both sides. And you can see I did this last year at the beginning of last season. I don't know if you can see in there. Let me take my camera. You can see right in those threads, that thing is packed full of white lithium grease. All right, so basically what you're going to want to do is dump that whole tube of grease between your upper grease point and your lower grease point. Now keep in mind, there is no gasket on the upper screw, but there is one on the bottom down here. And you're going to want to make sure you don't lose that, because this end obviously is the end that's going in the water. So we don't want to, let water get inside the drive here. And I don't know if you heard that, but when I took this off, a little bit of air came out. So this thing builds pressure on the inside a little bit as you're pedaling. And a little bit came out. But if you look on here, there's a little rubber washer, so that helps seal it. But let's see. In the bottom here, can't really tell. Maybe I should add some grease to the bottom here. But inside here, there's like some gears that transfer, the power to your prop here. But anyways, let's go and we'll put that screw back on. So let's see, that's the first thing. The second thing, let me just double check. None of this stuff you want to over tighten, because we don't want to strip out any of these threads. You get it snug and give it maybe a little extra, and that's it. So next thing after greasing our unit, what I would say to do is we're going to look at the prop here. So right here is your prop. So first thing, we're going to want to make sure we look at it, check for any nicks or cracks or anything like that. This prop looks in great shape, so it doesn't need to be replaced. But what we should do is, let's see, we're going to take this is a 3mm Allen, and if you look on the side, there's one set screw here, and then if we spin it 180 degrees, there's another one here. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to back both of those set screws out. I don't think you need to take them all the way out, but we're going to back those out, and then the prop will just pull off. But before you do that, there is a pin in here that locks the prop into the prop shaft. And the last time I took this off, that pin, took so much force for me to get this prop off. That pin caught my hand and it ripped it wide open. I was bleeding all over the place. So be aware of that. We don't want that to happen. So here we go. I'm going to use my, what did I say? 3mm Allen. And we're going to loosen both of these set screws up. Like I said, I'm not going to back them all the way out. I don't think it's necessary. All right, to the other side. And then give it a little wiggle, and there it is coming off. So if we look at the back side of the prop here, there's a little groove there, and that's where that pin goes in. Keeps it locked into the shaft. But as you can tell here, I've got not a lot, but there's a little bit of grass from, in the water here that gets stuck around your prop shaft there. So we're going to we'll pull this pin out, set it aside somewhere we're not going to lose it, and we'll make sure we get all this grass off of the shaft here. Let's see. Yep, that about does it. Give it the old quick blow test. Make sure there's nothing on there. I'm going to call that good. And see now, when we spin it, there's nothing on it hanging it up. Maybe we can come up this angle, run your pedals. Whoop. Make sure the shaft doesn't look bent, but this looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and put the prop back on. So just reverse order. Let's see, I'm going to find the hole here, stick my pin in. And when you put the pin in, you want to make sure it's centered so the same amount is sticking out of both sides. And pay attention to where that groove is. When you go and put it back on, I like to slide it on and kind of spin it back and forth until you feel it kind of lock into place. When you spin the prop, you should see your pedals moving, right? So I know I'm locked in. Then we'll take our 3mm Allen and we're going to tighten our set screws back up. Let's get that one a little snug. We'll come over to the other side. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea to use a little Loctite on these. Rule of thumb is usually anything that spins, you might want to Loctite it just to keep it from backing out and you losing them. But for the sake of time, I'm going to just put these back in, call it good. All right, so now we've checked our prop. Prop's good, free and clear around the prop shaft. We've got grease in it. The next thing would be, we'll double check our pedal drive here. So for your pedal drive, these Allen bolts right here, they use a 6mm Allen. And also keep in mind, I believe it's your left pedal is left hand thread, so it's reverse thread. So instead of lefty loosey righty tighty, it's righty loosey lefty tighty. So I'm gonna go left here and just make sure that that's tight. I'll spin this around. And then this is going to be your standard lefty loosey righty tighty. Make sure that's tight. That's good. All right, so our cranks are tight. One other thing I forgot to mention is down here we've got an adjustment right here. This is for your chain tension, because on the inside of this unit there's a chain that is connected to gears on your cranks, and so that chain tension, you want to make sure that that is tight but not too tight and not too loose. It's hard to tell, but the last time I adjusted it, I did it more so based on the sound. So when you're pedaling, it should be fairly quiet. You don't want to have it rattling or making any funny noises. So you can hear there's nothing crazy coming out of this. It's nice and smooth. All right, going back to your tension adjustment, it's kind of in a tricky spot here. You know, you can't get this long Allen on there, so you're going to need to use one of these, something that has a short end that you can get on there, and you can loosen and tighten this bolt. And there's also a jam nut on here, which if you have your tools from your toolkit, which FeelFree sends you, this is a 10 millimeter wrench that goes right on that jam nut. You can loosen it up, you can adjust your tension, and you can tighten it back up. So after you've got your chain tension set, you really shouldn't have to mess with it, but if it starts making noises, it's something to look into. The last thing here I think that's important is all these bolts here on this case, right? I noticed one day I was out on my Moken and I was getting a horrible creaking noise, and I couldn't figure out exactly what it was. And I came in, I tightened my cranks, and I tightened all these bolts down, which I believe those are 5 millimeter. Yes, 5 millimeter. I went around and just snugged all these up. Again, you don't want to go crazy, but you want to make sure that they're tight. Anything that you can get to, like even this guy here, this guy here. Oh, that one's spinning all the way through. I don't think that one really matters. Same with these guys. But the ones on this case right here, we want to make sure those are tight. And once I tightened my cranks and these case bolts and greased it and everything, that noise went completely away and it hasn't come back. So that's something to keep in mind. So beyond that, I think that's just about everything that's really important on this guy. Obviously, you know, you want to make sure nothing else is broken. Like this down here on the bottom, you want to make sure that's not busted off. Make sure your housing's not cracked anywhere. Give it a good inspection. But that's about it. So just to sum up everything that we've done, right? We adjusted we added grease, top and bottom. We inspected our prop shaft and made sure that pin was in and our set screws were tight. We double checked our cranks, made sure they were tight, and our housing bolts. And we checked our chain tension. Beyond that, that's all you got to do. The only last tip I would have for you is while you're out on the water, it's good to have some tools. So these are what I have in my shop here, but I usually keep this wrench in my my kayak with me while I'm out there. And I also like to keep a screwdriver, and this has 4 different size screwdrivers. It has a big and small Phillips head, right? Phillips and flathead. And then if you spin this guy around, right, there's a small one, Phillips head and flathead. So that covers your bases on anything with a regular screw. And I also have, this is like a little bike tool. It's got different stuff on here. It's got different size Allens. You also have a screwdriver, Phillips and flathead, different size Allen keys. So if you can fit it, you know, it's something nice to have. I think this maybe cost me $10 on Amazon. So keep it with you in case anything happens on the water, you need to make a quick repair. I remember I was without tools one time, and I had to chase somebody down on the boat ramp. And it was not fun. It was not a good day. But anyways, that's about all I got for you today. If you have any questions, you know, please feel free to ask away, and I'll do my best to get back to you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.